Was once a 29-year-old old woman named Bibi Haldar who had a mysterious ailment. She has had the condition since she was a child, in which she randomly experienced seizures and screaming fits. She has done all sorts of remedies since all types of healers and doctors, but none of them worked. In short, Bibi's life was an encounter with one fruitless antidote after the other. She lived with an elder cousin and wife. Who rented an apartment on second floor. There she would record inventory for cosmetics shops which her cousin Sodar owned and managed with no pay. She was one of those people who bemoaned her fate and challenged her stars and tell it to anyone around her. But there was one thing that she wanted the most. It wasn't a cure. She wanted a man. She would pester other people with details of their weddings and eventually become so obsessed with the thought of having a husband that it would sometimes send her into another attack. But then a new treatment was diagnosed for Bibi. The most outrageous of them all, Bibi was delighted by the diagnosis and began to prepare herself to find a husband with such as varnishing for her toes, softening her elbows, and applying glycerin to her lips to smoothen it. But Haldar and his wife were totally against the idea. They didn't want to have to pay for an expensive wedding or dowry. Plus, they doubted that any guy would want to marry her since she has never been taught to be a woman. Eventually, though, Haldar puts up one line advertisement in the town newspaper announcing Bibi's availability as a bride. After 2 months, there were still no takers. When Bibi's father was still alive, things were not so bad for her. He took care of her and treated her illness like a math problem that had no solution. He said to every problem there is a solution. He took up so much time. Trying to find a cure for Bibi that he eventually gave up teaching, tutoring only from his room so that he could monitor Bibi all the time. Ever since her father's death, though no one has ever treated her the same way and has only been there to keep her company, since there was little they could do to improve the situation. In November, they find out that Haldar's wife is now pregnant. And the wife makes Bibi stay away from her for her fear of getting her baby infected. The wife could not stand Bibi so much to the point that they tell Bibi to sleep in the storage room. When the baby arrives, Bibi is allowed back into the house but stays far away from Haldar and his wife. Then one day, the baby gets sick and This causes the couple to blame Bibi for the baby's sickness. And once again, she's being told to go to sleep in the storage room. The community then starts to complain about Haldar and his wife treats her and decides to find a way in driving Haldar out of business, in which they succeed. By mid-December, they eventually move out, leaving an envelope, 300 rupees, under Bibi's door. They even tried to contact a relative of Bibi's in Hyderabad explaining the situation, but the letter was returned and remained unopened. Bibi pretended that she was fine, but succumbed herself into silence and never went out. Some of them began to wonder if she was dying or she had lost her mind. But one morning in April, they noticed someone had vomited by the cistern tap and also noticed it on the second morning. When they tried to knock on her door, there was no response, so they opened it themselves, finding Bibi, to their surprise, 4 months pregnant. No one really knows how this came to be, since Bibi doesn't talk about it, and clearly everyone thinks that a man had raped her. Bibi was able to deliver a healthy baby, boy, and decide to use the money left by Haldar and sells his old inventory half $3 price. She becomes successful in selling the inventory and uses the profits to restock the shelves and run a business in the storage room. For many years afterward, no one is still sure how she got pregnant. But one thing for sure, she has been cured of her mysterious ailment.